So, something you have to get used to when you work a toy store like this is, frankly, disappointing people. And what I mean by that is that there's always going to be different collectors of all manners wanting all different kinds of things, and you can't exactly have everything. This is a small store. We take in what we can, we try to have as much variety as possible. But the truth is, there's just so much we can get. So, uh, there's going to be a lot of times where people looking for particular types of toys, looking for particular types of collectibles, are always going to find disappointment when they call or visit the store, and it's always disappointing when that happens. Just upsetting to me personally. I wish I wish I could say yes to everything. Yes, we have that rare set of Pokemon you're looking for. Yes, we have that convention exclusive Funko Pop you've always wanted. Yes, we sell this stupidly obscure thing that you've just requested of me. We can only have so much, but there is a there is like a hierarchy to this. So for starters, like there is the stuff that we've never stocked and probably will never stock because it's just that type of store. But when your store is literally named Bonita Springs Toys and Games, that's out there for you people who always ask what the name of the store is, even though it's in the opening. Uh, when you have that name, it is kind of a broad, generic name, and it doesn't really scream collector's toy store. Trust me, I've been wanting to change that, but it's not my call to make when we change that. But in the meantime, I have to field a lot of the questions and a lot of the no, we do not have that. The first and the biggest one is always comic books. Everyone assumes that any store like this is going to have a comic book section, which is not always necessarily true. Truth is, I'm just not knowledgeable enough in comic books, nor do I have the will to go through what would be like long boxes of hundreds of comic books if we took in a collection and find like the individual value of each and every one. It would be exhausting in the least. I've tried. I've had like when this store used to have the second store in the Naples Mall, I had to do that. I had to look up individual comic books, and it's a nightmare between regional cut between like different cover variants, between all the ways you have to determine the condition of the copy you've got, and then all the different iterations, all the different volumes. So you can have like Venom number 3, but there's like 12 Venom number 3s, or some crazy number, because for a long time they just did miniseries and just kept restarting. And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating to try and find just the one you have. Like I never want to do it again. I never want to do it again. But we don't really have room for comics. It's not our expertise, so not something we're ever going to delve into. Video games. People think because we have games in the title means that obviously that means video games. So it's not. Uh, well, for the longest time, like any video game, like retro game stuff, was handled by the 8-Bit Hall of Fame, which is 10 minutes away here and has been around for 9 years. Unfortunately, they were wiped out in the hurricanes, so now I don't really have a place I can send people for that kind of thing. Obviously, he's survived for 9 years. So obviously, there's a market for it in the area, but it's just not one that we can fill. We just don't have the kind of space it takes to really focus on something like that. Individual cards. That's a huge thing. A lot of stores that specialize in collectible card games will sell individual cards as well. And of course, there's a market there because it's big business for a great number of those card shops. But that's primarily for shops that focus solely on cards. Obviously, this is a Funko. We do Funko Pops, we do action figures, new and retro. We don't have that kind of space either. You wouldn't think it would take up a lot of space, but it does, and it takes up time for the same reason the comic books take up time. And then just putting out inventory like that, it's very easy for it to get damaged. Especially if you just have like loose long boxes of cards for people to flip through. the flipping is going to do a lot of damage to the cards, so you're losing value by the customer. Also, for every 20 people asking if we will buy their cards, I get maybe one person asking to purchase cards. So there's just at that point, I know I don't have enough business. I don't, there's just not enough of a market for this shop to go off of. In the same realm, sports cards. When Pokemon cards took off, so did sports cards, especially things baseball, football, especially. And I would, for a while, I would say, yeah, let's dive into that. But the fact is, they cut off distribution. Like a lot of those companies completely cut distribution off to anybody new who didn't previously have an account because a lot of people were setting up false accounts to buy at wholesale price so they could rip open packs dirt cheap. So a lot of places just cut that off cold and wouldn't let anyone order any new. Now it's cooled off enough where like I don't really want to get into that side of things, but I still get people asking, "Well, you sell all these cards, why not sports cards?" Because I'm not a sports guy. It's a geek store. And the last one is like plush toys, things like that. Because we are toys and games, because we don't really have anything like collectible toys or anything like, or vintage toys or anything like that in our title, people think we're just kind of a generic toy store too. So they will ask for things like plush toys. And we don't really do that either. I send them down to a place called Toy World. It's about 15, no, not even 15, it's say about 10 minutes from here. Super cool guy. We talk every time I go and visit him. So we have like neighbor partners that we send people to for the things we don't have, and that way we're not cutting into anybody's market. That way they send customers to us. It's an amicable relationship. There's the things that get asked for a lot that I personally would love to stock, and I'm trying to talk the owner into stocking. We just haven't gotten around to it. The first one would be Gundam. I get people asking me for Gundam just about every week. I know Gundam is big business. The model kits do really, really well. There's very few places around here. A few bigger kits at Barnes and Noble, and mostly super small kits at like Target. No one's stocking the good stuff here. To get the good stuff here, you got to drive like at least 2 hours to get to the good stuff. So I would love to have the good stuff. We just have not gotten that opportunity yet because that's a whole individual distribution thing that's super annoying and hard for a little shop like this to do. Let's see. Anime merch, again, huge. There is an anime store in Naples, but it's a good 40-minute drive from here. And there is kind of a Asian store in Fort Myers as well, which is about 25, maybe half an hour drive from here, but it's just mostly just junk. I would love to, like, we're in this perfect little spot to service both of them if we had anime stuff, but unfortunately, that's again, whole other distribution thing. And then Dungeons and Dragons. If you watch this channel enough, you know I have an obsession with Dungeons and Dragons. I I get people in multiple times a week. That's probably the thing I get asked for the most, and I would love to have it. I got a little bit. I got a tiny little bit. We used to have a bunch. Sold through all of it. Don't know why we never restocked it. That's all I got. So I'm working on that as well. So that's just like common stuff. Like, of course, like a toy store like this, you'd expect those kinds of things, even if you weren't aware of what we sold. So that's typical stuff. And then there is the weird list. So every now and then, someone asks me for something that's completely out of left field. And I keep a list. I keep a running list of exactly what strange things get asked for, just to show like how odd it gets and like how specific the collector niches are. So, like I said, we don't know. You don't know what kind of toy store we are. So people have asked me for marbles. Okay, so you would want like a traditional toy store that would have things like that, like little like wooden blocks, little toy cars, plush toys, that kind of toy store. That is not us. I try to make it very clear in all of our social media, in all of our advertisement. We are definitely collector oriented. So nothing marble based. On the other side, yo-yos. People have asked me for yo-yos. And not only have people asked me for yo-yos, I have had someone else particular asking me for yo-yo string. Just the string. Again, traditional toy store stuff. Not what we do. Of course, the only way you could know we don't do that stuff is by looking us up. There's a lot of people who just Google toy store, see our number, and then just hit the button and go, do you have this? Without doing any further research. And, that's their prerogative. I'm here to answer the phone and actually tell people, yeah, we don't have that. So that's not too strange. I've had someone asking for PlayStation 4 controllers. Again, going back to people see games in the title of the store, and they don't associate it with the card games we sell. They associate it with video games. And, they're not wrong to make that a connection. But, like I said, it was a niche that was filled in this town. We never got into it. So, I don't know. Like, I can't do anything for that. One guy just went for it. He just went for it. Came in and asked me, do you have the PlayStation 5? No, I don't have the most artificially inflated demand console ever because Sony is intentionally limiting production. No, I don't have that here in a store that sells Kingdom Hearts action figures or, Star Wars toys, or Funko Pops, vintage Ninja Turtles. No, I do not have a PS5 here. It shocks me that I do have people who will do a lap of this store, see absolutely nothing but action figures and trading cards, and they will still stop at my little spot here at the desk and go, where are your PlayStation games? Did you see a single video game? I didn't. I'm here every day and I didn't. Let's see. People ask, okay, what else is on the weird list? Comic book backboards. Those white boards they use to protect comic books inside the plastic sleeves? Yeah, someone asked me for just the boards. We don't deal in comic books, so we don't deal in supplies for comic books either. Truth is, I do have a stack of comic book boards, but they're old, yellowed. I use them mostly to block action figures from the sunlight if they're hanging in the window, or I use it for little quick signs I have to post for UPS or something. It's utility stuff. It's not sellable. RC boats, remote controlled boat. Okay, again, this is a hobby store. Now, if you search a hobby store, people who specifically put in the search term hobby store are generally thinking of those high-end RC cars, the ones you have to paint and build yourself, that, there are individual supplies, parts to upgrade, here's oil to keep them lubed, that kind of like serious RC vehicle. That's what they're thinking when they come up with things like that. So, me personally, kind of shocking when people look through the entire inventory and again go, do you have RC boats? So this place will come up when you search hobby store, but it's not that kind of hobby. So once again, I have to tell them no. I have been asked specifically for a gas-powered RC boat. Electric wasn't good enough for them. They needed this thing to be combustible. No, I don't have that either, unfortunately. So one more no. In the same realm, Dremel. Like a rotary tool, like a little handheld drill that you can sand things down, put a little drill, that kind of rotary tool. No, we don't have Dremels. We're not that kind of hobby store. So that kind of stuff, just because of what you search on Google and just because of what you imagine, you could kind of imply maybe this place will have it. Maybe this place is going to be the kind of spot to have this stuff. Then we get to the weirdest stuff. Someone came in and asked me for individual mahjong tiles. Yes, it was an older person. Usually board games, traditional card games, gin rummy, and etc. That's usually the older crowd looking for things to do. Again, they see games in the title, they confuse which kind of games. They end up in here looking for individual parts to complete their incomplete sets. Uh, like I said, I wish I could cater to everybody, but I've only got so much I'm capable of. I said we don't deal in sports cards that include, and I don't deal in individual cards. We try to make that very clear publicly. So when someone comes in here and asks me for a Troy Young card, not a pack of cards, not do you do loose cards, specifically came in and asked for one specific card. Nope. Nope. Can't do a thing with that. Sorry. Justice League towel. Someone walked into a toy store looking for a towel. Now, granted, it's because of the pop culture connection, so okay, I can't fault you entirely. At the same time, I don't have a bathing section, you know? He wanted it for his car. Like, he wanted it for, like a car seat kind of thing. Like, just to kind of, like, lay in the seat of his car or to put in, like, the back window or something. Like, he wanted, like, that kind of spread for the Justice League. Okay, so maybe because you thought this was a comic book shop, you made that connection. Unfortunately, I can't help you with that connection. But speaking of vehicles, and admittedly, this person said this is a long shot, so they knew exactly what they were getting into. Someone asked me for steering wheel covers. I can understand. I can understand a lot of this. I can understand comic book backboards. I can understand marbles and yo-yos. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Depending on what store you assume this was going to be, perfectly fine. I can even understand Dremels and, even the towel has a little bit of connection. This one asked me for steering wheel covers. I barely have any Hot Wheel cars, let alone accessories for real cars, That's all, I might have a Superman air freshener somewhere in the back. That's maybe the best thing I can promise you. But nothing tops the biggest one, the most out there, weirdest one I have ever been asked for. Someone called the store because they were specifically looking for a toy of a horseshoe crab. A toy horseshoe crab. Those big brown shells with the spiny little tails, and you turn them over and it looks like a xenomorph trying to claw at you. That thing. Kabuto from Pokemon. That thing. If we're going geek reference here. No, I don't have. I don't have toys of sea creatures that are genetically more connected to scorpions than they are crabs, but we still call them crabs. No, I do not have that. I had to look this up. I had to Google this. Does anyone actually make a toy horseshoe crab? And they do. Of course they do. They make little motorized ones that scutter. Of course, I shouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised. If it exists, there's generally a toy of it. So you know what? Fair play to you. But that is just an example of the randomness that comes in. Obviously, I can't cater to every single type of collector or every single type of hobby out there. The store is just not big enough. And even if I could, think I could keep track of all that kind of stuff? I barely know enough to get by here, let alone try to delve into RC cars, and Asian board games. But the part about reset, figure it out. Part of me that loves this is how many different ways people enjoy just being a geek. Everyone's got their own thing. It's not normal to anyone except in places like this. So I don't mind the weirdness. I don't mind the incorrect assumptions, because at the very least, it's fascinating to learn. What kind of things people are into. Sometimes you are into Justice League towels, and sometimes you're into plastic horseshoe crabs, and all of that is perfectly cool here. And that is the toy store life. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him.
Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.